The Autumn Nation Series might be over, however the Tennent's men's Premiership and National Leagues still continue to roll on. We have the rescheduled round 3 fixtures for you today, and it's a derby weekend starting off in the capital and at Millennium Park, where Currie Chieftains hosted Edinburgh Accies.
Under the rainbow-lit sky at Millennium Park, it was Edinburgh Accies that would take the lead after Jamie Looms kicked this penalty. However, life for Accies was not going to get any better after they were reduced to 14 men with a high tackle from Vincent Hart. Adam Hall kicked the resulting penalty to bring the scores level. However, Struan Whittaker had other ideas as he put Accies back into the lead after powering over from close range. Currie would take the lead moments later. Close to the line and 2 phases later, Rhys Davis managed to get over to put their hosts ahead.
Yeah, you've got advantage. Bounded, then bounced up.
Chieftains extended their lead moments later after they whipped the ball out to Cody McGovern, who instead of going for the line himself, passed it off to Charlie Brett, who went in to score. The architect of those 2 last tries, Ian Sim, was on hand for helping out with his 3rd try of the day. He started to blast his way through the Accies defence before finding Ryan Stewart, who would go over to score. Currie extending the lead and Accies looking down and out. However, Accies would score next. Callum Ram showed his pace, and when he was captured just short of the line by Ryan Daly, he regathered the ball and another attempt before popping the ball up for St John Broad to score. But once again the hosts would score, this time Ian Sim himself getting over the line. Adam Hall once again converted to take the score further ahead. And they would once again score, with the ball shipped out to the wing to find Ryan Daly. The hosts just could not stop scoring. This time Ryan Southern added his name to the list. Accies did not stop in their search for a consolation, and Struan Whittaker went over for his 2nd try of the day. However, Currie would get the last laugh as Daly intercepted this long pass to go over for the easiest of tries and to put 50 points on the board for the hosts.
Well, turning our attention now from the capital and moving down to the Borders, where on Friday night there was a Borders derby at Philip Hall to look forward to, as Selkirk hosted Jed-Forest.
Selkirk's scrum power was on show in the first 10 minutes, with Alan Ferry getting the first try of the match. The trusty right boot of hooker Finlay Scott, however, managed to bring the score down to just 2. but not before Selkirk would get their second try of the day, and also the second try of the day for Alan Ferry. Aaron Malcolm's conversion was once again missed when it came off the post, to leave the score at 10-3. Despite Jed's best attempts, Selkirk's forward power was on show, and Luke Peaty went over for their third try. The bonus point was wrapped up 5 minutes into the restart, with Josh Welsh going over. Jed did manage to count themselves back on the score sheet, with Mason Cullen going over. But it wasn't to be, as Scott McClement went over for Selkirk's fifth try. And hooker Russell Anderson went over for their sixth try of the day. A pivotal win for the hosts as they keep grasp of fourth place and that final Premiership playoff spot.
Moving away from our derby weekend now and to the top of the table, where Hawick are still going unbeaten, having won 9 games in a row now. They were looking to make it 10 in a row as they hosted bottom place Musselburgh at Mansfield Park.
Hawick started off the stronger in the first 5 minutes, and a fantastic kick by Kurt Ford was picked up by Lewis Ferguson for the first try. They added their second try moments later, with Ross Graham going over in the corner.
Yeah, agree. Advantage. Thanks, Callum.
The third try, and the third try in the same corner, came shortly after, with Ronan McKean finding his way over the line. They soon, however, switched over to the other side, with Andrew Mitchell going over for the bonus point try within just 20 minutes. And an intercepted pass from Callum Rennick went over for Hawick's fifth try in the first half. And straight away from the restart, Dalton Redpath turned on the gas and ran from his own halfway line to score. Graham then went over for his second try to round off 7 tries in the first half for the hosts, as Musselburgh struggled to get on the score sheet. But credit to the side bottom of the table, they did manage to start the second half off stronger. However, Sean Fairbairn went over for Hawick's 8th try of the day. And credit to Musselburgh, they remained valiant and went over for their first try of the match through Michael Bradenhorst. But however, Hawick had the last say in the match with Fraser Rennick going over. It rounded off a perfect day for the hosts, who went on to record their 10th win in a row.
Well, two teams with big wins last week and looking to keep that going were Marr and Heriot's Blues. Marr overcame Edinburgh Accies last week to keep the pressure on Hawks and Selkirk as they stayed in the hunt for the playoff spots, and Heriot's Blues beat GHA as they look to climb away from the bottom of the table and keep themselves in the Premiership next year.
In what was a tough encounter, Callum Ingalls opened the scoring for the hosts with this penalty. But Heriot's had other ideas and they went over for the first try of the game through winger Craig Robertson, who scored in the corner.
Advantage 6 offside. 6 Marr. 9, you have a penalty advantage.
Marr started to set up camp in the Blues half, and using their superior scrum to keep pressure on the visitors, Tom Stephen touched down for the home team's first try. With both conversions missed, the score remained 8-5 at half-time. And Marr extended the lead into the second half, using their superior forward power, with Gordy Reid going over to make it 15-5.
No hands. Right there. Hit the line, ball's on the line.
Graham Wilson slotted home this penalty to bring the score closer. And 5 minutes later, Matthew Toward went over to bring the score to 15-13 on the 58th minute. But Marr were headstrong and Callum Ingalls was sent flying under the post to put them further ahead. The game looked like it was all but won for Marr. However, Heriot's managed to get the last try of the game, and what a superb try it was. With the ball in Ross Jones's hands, he managed to find an inch-perfect kick to Charles Deneen out on the far wing, meaning Heriot's managed to leave with just a losing bonus point.
Well, finally, our last derby to look forward to. Glasgow Hawks look to keep the pressure on Selkirk in the hunt for that last playoff spots as they hosted GHA at Balgrey in a Glasgow derby.
There was no score until the 33rd minute, in which Glasgow Hawks were rewarded for their efforts. A number of clever passes resulted in Currie going over for the first try of the game. That was it for the first half, and it was the second half it was GHA's day. George Baird managed to find his way over the line for their first try of the day. The pressure then was continued on the hosts as they looked for their second try. Managing to find a break, they tried to swoop through for their next try, however only to be stopped by a hard GHA defence. A mix-up in communication between the backs meant the ball was let free, and Dario Ewing was the first one to capitalise on the situation, going over for GHA's second try. Hawks did manage to get back into the game when Ross Starrick went over for the score.
No. No.
However, GHA kept piling on the pressure, and they got their third try with Luca Bardelli going over. And they wrapped up the Glasgow derby win and the bonus points soon after, with Charlie Lonergan managing to find an intercept from a pass from a Hawks back line to go over for their fourth try. But Hawks claimed the try of the day, with a fantastic teamwork for Daniel Sweeney to go over. They did manage to get the losing bonus point, but will that loss mean that they've lost ground on Selkirk in fourth place? And so after this week there are no changes to the positions in the table. Currie's win, that means that they now extend the gap between them and Edinburgh Accies and keep pressure on Hawick at the top of the table. Glasgow Hawks have also now lost some ground on Selkirk and now find themselves 7 points behind fourth place. Heriot's Blues' losing bonus point now means that they are just 9 points ahead of Musselburgh in last place. Looking ahead to next week, and it is the exact same fixtures that we saw this weekend, with 3 derbies taking place in the capital, in Glasgow and down in the borders. Also, Musselburgh take on Hawick and Heriot's Blues are at home to Marr.
The Tennent's men's national won now, and there were 2 unfortunate call-offs at the weekend, with Watsonians versus Stirling County and Aberdeen Grammar versus Highland being postponed due to waterlogged pitches. However, there's still plenty of action for us to look forward to, and our action comes from Millbrae this weekend, where Gala were looking to get back in form and get back in the hunt for the title and promotion as they took on Ayr.
In a huge clash in the top half of the table, it would be the West Coast side that would take the lead. Has Lynch opened the scoring after John Fulton joined him on the opposite wing to create the overlap and put him in the corner. On the 20-minute mark, they would get their second try, with Stuart Collier going over for his first try of the day. Keep your ears open to hear his name again. And in much a repeat of his first try, Stuart Collier would go over for his second. And for the man the home side call the dentist, it would be a 12-minute hat-trick as he went over for his third try on the 32-minute mark. 26-0 at half-time is not the score the border side wanted. However, they did manage to get their first try 5 minutes into the second half, with James Glendinning went over. But But once again, Ayr would score for who else but Stuart Collier as he managed to get his 4th try of the day.
Okay, 7, stay bound. Try. Balls down.
The win might have been out of Gallagher's hands, but they still kept searching for something out of the game. Jack Eason went over for their 2nd try.
Penalty advantage, 19, side entry. Boys.
Ayr once again, however, proved dominant from a line-out maul. It was in the hands of Stuart Collier to go over, but not before referee Tom French awarded a penalty try.
Mark it. No, leave him.
Despite being reduced to 14 men when Jack Eason was shown a red card after being shown 2 yellows, Callum Pate went over for a spectacular try, managing to grab the ball just at the death before going over.
No. Try awarded.
Ayr, however, did get the last try of the game as Ross McCorkindale went over. The win meant that the hosts still kept pressure on Kelso at the top of the table as they fight for their spot back in the Premiership. There were 2 other games in Tennent's Men's National 1. On Saturday, Biggar managed to get the better of GHK at Old Annie's Land, despite being down for most of the game. And Melrose got the better of Stuart's Melville at the Green Yards under the Friday night lights. And so that means, looking at the table, Ayr still keep pressure on Kelso, now just a point in it at the top of the table. But Melrose, however, are not far behind them, only just 4 points off the top. At the bottom of the table as well, Stuart's Melville are still struggling, now with 9 losses in a row. They find themselves 10 points off safety. Next week, it's the battle of the top 2 as Ayr take on Kelso at Millbrae. Elsewhere, Melrose also face Gala in 3rd versus 4th in a Borders derby. Aberdeen Grammar are at home to Biggar. Stirling County are at home to Stuart's Melville. Watsonians will take on Highland. And Dundee Rugby will take on GHK.
And so that is it for another weekend of Tennent's Men's Premiership and National League action. Join us this week where we'll basically be reviewing the same games over again and also the return of Tennent's Men's National 2 and 3. We'll see you then.